Welcome to the deep dive. Today we're looking into a really interesting situation in Somaliland.
Yeah, it's about the connection or maybe the disconnect between a political leader and, well, their home base.
Exactly. We're using a recent report that focuses on Vice President Mohamed Awe Abdi, specifically concerns coming out of his home region, Adal.
Right. And the report gives us a glimpse into his rise, but also what seems to be happening now he's in office.
So our mission really is to understand those dynamics. What happens when a leader's focus maybe shifts after an election?
It's a classic question in politics, isn't it? How do you balance local roots with national duties?
Okay, so let's set the scene a bit. Abdi, he's a senior figure in the Wadani party.
Correct. And he was chosen as the VP candidate back in March 2021. Ran alongside Abdirahman Mohammed Abdullahi.
And they pulled off that surprise win in the November election. Wasn't it originally planned for later?
Yeah, it had been pushed back. So during that campaign, Abdi had a clear strategy.
The report mentions his focus on Borama in Adal. That was his strongest support base, right?
Absolutely. But he was also active elsewhere, like in eastern Somaliland, mediating with Isaac clan leaders. That's pretty high-level stuff.
Trying to diffuse conflict there. And didn't the report also mention him showing up for MP Hirsi Ali Haji Hassan?
Yes. In June 2022, after that reported attack on Hassan's home, it painted a picture of him being, involved on the ground.
Standing with the opposition figure, which was notable.
And crucially, for Adal, there were specific promises, things people could point to.
Like what? The report specified some.
Oh, yeah. Building an airport in Borama. That's a big one. And upgrading the road to Baki district. Very concrete local pledges.
Okay, so that's the backdrop. Campaign focus, local promises. Okay. What does the report say happened after he took office?
Well, this is where the shift seems to come in. The report suggests that since becoming vice president, his engagement has been much more on national and regional missions.
Meaning less time back in Adal.
Apparently so. Limited return visits, less direct engagement with those home constituency issues.
And it's not just him.
Well, the report also notes that the elected MP from Borama, also in Adal, hasn't really reconnected much with local voters either. So maybe it's a wider issue.
Interesting. But what about the feeling in Adal itself? What are people saying, according to this report?
That's where it gets quite concerning, reading between the lines. The report talks about the region being in serious trouble.
Serious trouble? What kind of trouble?
It doesn't detail everything, but the perception reported is that Abdi hasn't been able or perhaps available to help address whatever this crisis is.
So a sense of being left behind.
Kind of.
Yeah.
And it mentions young people feeling their voices are suppressed. There are even claims reported that the VP isn't particularly welcome back.
Wow. That's quite a shift from being his core support base.
It is. And a feeling, reportedly, that he doesn't actually have the power to change things for them now, even if he wanted to. It suggests a real potential breakdown in that relationship.
So let's try and synthesize this. You have the initial support, the specific local promises.
Yeah, there are things that likely got him elected, at least in part.
And then you have the demands of the VP role. National stage, regional diplomacy.
Which pulls him away, seemingly. And back home, there's this growing sense of disappointment. Maybe even abandonment.
It really makes you think about that fundamental tension, doesn't it? How does a leader maintain that connection?
Exactly. What happens to trust when priorities seem to shift? And are there other factors, things the report doesn't capture, that might explain this? We're only seeing one perspective here.
True. It's complex. So maybe the thought to leave you with is this. Consider that balancing act. Local needs versus national responsibilities.
Yeah. What does a healthy connection look like when a leader's role gets bigger? How do they signal they're still listening, still representing those who elected them initially?
Something definitely worth pondering.